Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2025, 2025 commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 77 years of independence and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns. Commemorating Viksit Bharat at 2020, 2047 in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Health. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today is commemorated as World Day of Social Justice on 20th February every year. The theme for this year is strengthening a just transition for a sustainable future. So strengthening a just transition for a sustainable future means making sure our move towards low carbon economies benefit everyone, especially the most vulnerable. It requires a holistic approach that views environmental sustainability with social justice, ensuring that workers, indigenous peoples, and marginalized communities receive the support they need through retaining job creation and strong social protection measures. In other words, decarbonization and economic transformation should go hand in hand with policies that fight poverty, reduce inequality, and open up opportunities for all. At the heart of this vision is the idea of integrating just transition principles into both global and national policies. When these principles are built into sustainable development agendas, such as those discussed at the Second World Summit for Social Development, WSSD2, such as those discussed at the World Summit for Social Development, WSSD2, policymakers can create a fairer environment where the costs of changes are shared equitably. For example, targeted green skills training, comprehensive social protection, and community-led economic diversification can help ensure that the decline of fossil fuel industries doesn't lead to long-term unemployment or increased social inequality. Instead, these measures redirect investments into emerging green sectors, building a resilient workforce and a more equitable society. At the heart of the vision of this idea is integrating just transition principles. Ultimately, strengthening a just transition is about reimagining our economic and environmental systems to prioritize people as much as the planet. It's called to shift the focus from simply decarbonizing to also redistributing opportunities and resources so that sustainable growth benefits everyone. Through collective action and inclusive policies, we can create a future where environmental integrity and social equity go hand in hand, forming the foundation of a truly sustainable global economy. World Employment and Social Outlook Trends 2025, as per ILO observation, on AI and work in the digital economy, the global economy is slowing down, making it harder for labor markets to recover fully. In 2024, global employment grew in line with the labor force, keeping unemployment rate steady at 5%. However, youth unemployment showed little improvement, remaining high at 12.6%. Informal work and working poverty returned to pre-pandemic levels, and low-income countries face the most difficulties in creating decent jobs. The International Labour Organization, ILO, unanimously adopted the ILO Declaration on Social Justice for a Fair Globalization on 10th June 2008. This is a third major statement of principles and policies adopted by the International Labour Conference since the ILO's constitution of 1990. So it builds the Philadelphia Declaration of 1944 and the Declaration of Fundamental Principles and Rights at Work of 1998. The 2008 Declaration expresses the contemporary vision of the ILO's mandate in the era of globalization. This landmark declaration is a powerful reaffirmation of ILO values. It is the outcome of tri-party consultations that started in the wake of the report of World Commission on the social dimension of globalization. So by adopting this text, the representatives of governments, employers, and workers' organizations from 182 member states emphasizes the key role of our tri-party organization in helping to achieve progress and social justice in the context of globalization. Together, they commit to enhance the ILO capacity to advance these goals through the decent work agenda. The declaration institutionalizes the decent work concept developed by ILO since 1999, placing it at the core of the organization policies to reach its constitutional objectives. So the importance of decent work in achieving that just adopted agenda for sustainable development is highlighted by Goal 8, which aims to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. The declaration comes at a crucial political moment, reflecting the wide consensus on the need for a strong dimension to globalization in achieving improved and fair outcomes for all. It constitutes a compass for promotion of a fair globalization based on decent work, as well as a practical tool to accelerate progress in the implementation of a decent work agenda at the country level. It also affects a productive outlook by highlighting the importance of sustainable enterprises in creating greater employment and income opportunities for all. The General Assembly recognizes the social development and social justice are indispensable for the achievement and maintenance of peace and security within and among nations, and that in turn, social development and social justice cannot be attained in the absence of peace and security, in the absence of respect for all human rights and fundamental freedoms. It further recognizes that globalization and independence are opening new opportunities through trade, investment, and capital flows, and advances in technology, including information technology for the growth of the world economy and the development and improvement of living standards around the world, while at the same time, there remain serious challenges, including serious financial crisis, insecurity, poverty, exclusion, and inequality within and among societies, and considerable obstacles to further integration and full participation in the global economy for developing countries, as well as some countries with economies in transition. On 28 November 2007, the General Assembly declared that starting from 63rd season of General Assembly, 20th February will be celebrated annually as the World Day of Social Justice. So today is also commemorated as World Anthropology Day internationally, which falls on third Thursday of February, takes place on February 20 this year. This day is set aside to celebrate the field, share information about anthropology with the public. Anthropology can be explained as a scientific study of humanity. It covers human behavior, biology, and how human societies function. It considers past and present information and looks to explore the future. Anthropology helps explain the origins of humans and what makes us unique as a species. It helps us understand how our world works, why we behave the way we do, and how we influence our environments. The American Anthropological Association started World Anthropology Day in 2015. It was initially called National Anthropology Day, but it was changed in 2016. World Anthropology Day seemed more appropriate since anthropology is essential to the whole world and not just one nation. Anthropology studies the origin and development of human cultures as well as societies. It examines characteristics in the past and present communities using different scientific methods. Studying culture shows the learned behaviors of people, their belief systems, institutions, languages, and social structures. The field investigates how people in the world live over time. The study is required to present human subjects in a clear and unbiased manner. To accomplish this, subjects are usually observed in the local environments. Anthropologists then use process of ethnography to describe local customs and interactions. Participating in the everyday lives of their subjects allows anthropologists to observe and explain the real purpose of people, cultures, institutions, and practices. This is an anthropological process called participant observation. To ensure they are unbiased, anthropologists must assess their interpretations of the cultures and societies they study. This is to avoid ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is a biased view that all groups are less than another, usually their personal, social, or cultural group. The goal of an anthropologist is to describe a society and its culture in the local people's terms. So, anthropology studies human behavior. This day includes exploring cultural traditions, music, art, food, and human relationships. Some anthropologists study the detailed migration patterns of humans over the years. Anthropology considers human adaptations and changes. Anthropologists usually work as researchers or professors in universities. Most anthropologists earn a master's degree or doctorate. So, this day broadens our understanding. It helps spread information about anthropology, topics that affect our everyday lives, and helps us understand life better and teaches others about our findings. It allows researchers to share their work and enlighten to the general public. It also paves the way for new research, making our world progress. This day creates awareness about anthropology, increasing people's interest in the field. It may also give the people the opportunity to find out more about anthropology and decide if they would also like to become anthropologists. Today is also commemorated as World Cholangiocarcinoma, which is observed on third Thursday, February from 2023 onwards, is an international day that is observed to raise awareness about a very rare but aggressive type of cancer. It takes place on February 20 this year. There are almost or about 11,000 cases of cholangiocarcinoma, which is diagnosed each year in US. It is one of the rarest and most deadly forms of cancer. So cholangiocarcinoma is a rare type of cancer that develops in the bile ducts and small tubes that carry digestive fluids in and around the liver. It also affects the gallbladder. On World Cholangiocarcinoma Day, doctors, healthcare workers, cancer survivors, and activists come together to raise much needed awareness of this form of liver cancer. One of the main reasons why cholangiocarcinoma is regarded as the deadliest form of cancer is that it is difficult to diagnose. Currently, there are no specific screening tests to detect this disease. In fact, people impacted by this disease often have no symptoms at all. In most cases, bile duct tumors are usually found during tests or procedures for other bile duct or liver conditions, like gallstones. Another reason why this disease is deadly is due to its nature. Cholangiocarcinoma impacts the liver and bile duct. A healthy liver is essential for ingestion and detoxification. But for patients touched by cholangiocarcinoma, the tumors of the bile duct prevent the liver from carrying out certain functions, resulting in conditions like jaundice, weight loss, abdominal pain, and toxin buildup in the system, body. So, identifying the disease early is an effective treatment option. Unfortunately, cholangiocarcinoma is a poorly understood and under-researched disease that is increasing in incidence globally. So moving forward, let's all take a stand to follow healthy habits to maintain healthy liver and support and help those who are battling cancer. Today is also commemorated as Mizoram State Day. Mizoram State Day marks the formation of Mizoram as a state. The region is a state in the northeastern India and shares a border with countries like Bangladesh and Myanmar. The inhabitants of this region are called Mizo. Based on the history, the British were particularly interested in this region resources, such as tea and milk, when they took over India. Hence, the state was officially formulated once India gained independence to honor the day and struggle of the residents starts celebrating now. Before Mizoram was declared a state, tribes from northeastern India resided in this region. The origin of the tribes are still, however, a bit mysterious. According to the historical records, the tribes although the people are called Mizos today, the first group of people were known as Kukis. The second batch known as New Kukis, while the last referred to as Lusiais. During the 18th and 19th century, several tribe raids took place as the Mizo Hills were also declared under the ruling of British in 1895. In 1935, a proclamation has left the districts of Lushai Hills and Assam to be regarded as an excluded area. The Mizos despised the British ruling and therefore a political awakening. Awakening has been evoked. As a result of awakening, the first Mizo political party came into existence. On April 9, 1946, the Mizo Common People's Union was born, later on renamed as Mizo Union. Although the party did bring about some changes, the Mizos were never fully satisfied with the outcome, as the British were still in major control. It was only when the British left India in 1947 the Mizos were free. Today is also commemorated as Statehood Day of Arunachal Pradesh in India, observed on 50th February in the northeastern Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh. It is a day to commemorate the granting of statehood to the state which occurred in the year 1987. Arunachal Pradesh holds a key position in the whole northeastern Indian states, as it served as a general name for the whole region before its state. It is full of mountains and situated close to Himalayas, which invariably makes Arunachal Pradesh an international border state bordering China, Myanmar, and Bhutan. So the celebration of Statehood Day of Arunachal Pradesh has its origin in the year the state was granted statehood in 1987. For over 3 decades running, the state celebrates its statehood in style. This is a public holiday in the state, and government offices and banks are closed. This gives inhabitants all the time they need to engage in all events planned for the day's celebration. The state is located at the foot of Himalayas, which gives its famous equestrian name. It is bordered by Indian state and other countries, 3 countries, before gaining statehood. In the late 1980s, Arunachal Pradesh had been a territory in the Union of India from 1972, comprising other states. The 7 states in the territory were famously known as Seven Sisters, going back to history. The northeastern region of India, where Arunachal Pradesh is located, had seen marked attention from the colonial British. As far back as the late 19th century, the British government began laying its administrative rulings in the region. Between 1912 and 1930, they successfully created and what came to be known as Northeastern Frontier Tracts, consisting of 3 regions to mark the territorial distinction. They further drew a demarcation line between the region and Tibet in 1940, an act that angered China, which saw Tibet under its rule, and in the long run contributed to the Sino-Indian Wars in 1962. After gaining independence, the Indian government renamed the Northeastern region the Northeastern Frontier Agency, and when it began assembling its union, it annexed NEFA and renamed it Arunachal Pradesh. 15 years after it was renamed, it was granted statehood and officially became a state in the Republic of India. Today is also commemorated as Clean Out Your Bookcase Day in US. Take out your cleaning supplies and organizing tools and get ready to revamp the bookcase. Your old dusty bookcase needs your attention, and today is the day you give it a new look. All you have to do is decide how you will reorganize all the books and what you plan on doing with these books that you don't want anymore. Google ideas on different attractive ways you can decorate your bookshelf and add some spice to otherwise dull piece of furniture. Bookcases are an essential piece of furniture for whoever has interest in reading. Admit it, a home with books on the floor isn't a pretty sight. A bookcase is required for anyone who wants to stay organized. However, over a period of time, the bookcase tends to get messy and is often covered with books that you have either outgrown or don't have any interest in reading. The purpose of this day is to help one decide which books they want to read and which ones they want to give away. Reorganizing the bookcase is also important, since any visitor you have is bound to question about the books they see. Hence, not having read more than a few books on the shelf is just going to build a bad impression. So, coming to the history of bookcases, the piece of furniture had existed in one way or the another since the invention of books took place. The initial design also evolved based on the materials that were available during each century. So in Italy during the 17th century, there was a time where there was built-in bookcases in pilasters or recessed columns. At times, even statues or carved urns on the cornice had spaces for books. However, the French were the first to use bookcases in which the upper part was paneled in glass instead of wood. It wasn't until the reign of Queen Anne in England that the designs became simple. Today is also commemorated as National Cherry Pie Day in US with all its fruity buttery goodness. We have folks ready to devour the delicious dessert in all its forms, homemade or store bought. Everything is better with pie. Devoured only by royalty and the wealthy, the pie continued its culinary impact in medieval Europe as an early Tupperware for baking, carrying, and storing food. Even though the needs and reeds now change to a pastry made of flour and water, it's still inedible due to its thickness, hardness, and lack of flavor. The filling was still the main part of the dish, predominantly made. As the shape of the pie evolved into a narrow dish, the pie bases were called coffins. The cherry pie is one of the America's favorite pie fillings, traditionally made with tart cherries instead of sweet ones, morello cherries, or native black cherries. This tasty dessert is a great with large amounts of ice cream or cream whip or foam. It is also commemorated as National Comfy Day in US. This means you can get to wear comfy clothes, be a complete mess, eat comfort food, and embark on any activity that allows you to be cozy and lazy. All you have to do is find your favorite spot in your abode and relax for the next 24 hours. And this is must for everyone who usually has a super busy work schedule. Today is also commemorated as National Handcuffs Day in US. It is celebrated on February 20 every year because it was on this very day the George A. Carney was given a patent number in US for his lightweight and adjustable swinging bow ratchet type handcuff. According to Carney, the handcuffs in question were developed in the year 1912 and had a design that was comparatively more comfortable than the previous handcuffs that were developed. These handcuffs are now used when arresting criminals or when need to detain someone arises. On this day, start celebrating in order to pay a tribute to the American innovators that have changed life as we know it. Day is also commemorated as National Leadership Day in US. The aim of this National Leadership Day is to inculcate the values of leadership in each one of us. If we all took up responsibilities and led in our communities, the world would be a much better place. A good leader not only leads but inspires those around him to be the best versions of themselves. If you step up during hard times and lend an empathetic ear, you can change someone's life. Anyone can be a leader. You just have to show up and encourage others to do the same. Today is also commemorated as National Love Your Pet Day in US to embrace one special trait that makes us human, our love of our pets. There are many things that differentiate humans from the rest of animal kingdom, but one of the more unusual behaviors is our long-standing tendency to keep other animals as pets. According to Wise Voters Pet Ownership Statistics, in 2019, about 57% of American households own at least one pet. It only makes sense to commemorate something that's so important to so many people. So on February 20, we celebrate our pets with National Love Your Pet. Today is also commemorated as National Muffin Day in US. English muffins have been whipped up in the kitchens, a perfect substitute for toast during brunch, an easy treat to make and give as a gift. They come in so many varieties like English muffins, Portuguese muffins, American muffins, and so many hybrids. Ruffins, duffins, muffin tops, and a whole lot more. And if you don't love one of them, you are bound to find another that you do. And don't even get us started on flavors: blueberry, cranberry, orange, bran, chocolate chip. And there's a muffin for everyone. If there is not, create your own. And it is easy to make. Elaborate cakes and pastries are involved affairs. Muffins, though, are a type of quick bread, as the title suggests. They don't take long to cook. Muffins are so easy to make. You whip up a batch of weekday before work or a friend on the fair wait over to grab. Muffins are a kind of Oreos. Everyone has their own way of eating them. Today is also commemorated as National Student Volunteer Day in US, celebrated on February 20 every year to encourage student volunteering and community service and promote volunteering innovation and discussion. It was first organized volunteer organization in the US was a firehouse founded by Benjamin Franklin, Philadelphia. Volunteering is an act of giving your time and resources to make a positive impact in the community without expecting any financial reward. Volunteering can take place in a variety of venues, including schools, hospitals, nonprofit organizations, corporate firms, athletic events, disasters, and online. Volunteers are rarely compensated for their efforts. Some organizations, such as United Nations, however, give their volunteers allowances to cover up their living and operating expenses. Day is also commemorated as National Whistleblower Reward Day in US on February 20 every year. It is a day that has been set aside to create awareness against fraud and encourage people to report fraud against the government. Frauds cost the government 10% of all expenditures, or a staggering $350 billion annually. In order to tackle this vice, the government has turned to whistleblowers for assistance. So, what precisely is any community or industry can be weakened and crippled by the corruption, fraud, and unlawful activity. But sadly, these things frequently go unreported. These can stop by engaging in whistleblowing, that is, reporting or outing criminal activity to the authorities to protect the public perception and American sanity. So, National Whistleblower Reward Day was established by Joel Hetz to bring awareness to available whistleblower rewards for reporting fraud against the government. Hetz worked in the National Whistleblower Reward Office of the U.S. Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. for 16 years. He formed this firm to exclusively represent whistleblowers' files for rewards under federal and state whistleblower rewards. Currently, three main whistleblowers programs in the US pay significantly monetary rewards to whistleblowers who report fraud against government. The US Department of Justice runs the largest whistleblower reward program under the False Claims Act. Whistleblowers will get paid for reporting any type of fraud against any of the more than 20 different agencies or programs. These include Medicare, military, Homeland Security, and so if you want to be eligible for a reward for reporting fraud against the government, you must hire an attorney and file a quitam suit in court alleging the fraudulent billings to the government. Fraud in the government is an epidemic and we need whistleblowers. So take the right decision to save your country and its people. Today is also commemorated as No Politics Day in US. All those who want a break from talk about elections and even speeches from the newly elected, No Politics Day on February 20 is just your kind of celebration. This event used to be observed on February 1st until 2020. The celebrations are meant to help people move away from constant political talk, even if only for a day. This event makes a refreshing statement and aims to bring people of opposing views together in peace, laughter, and fun. The profession itself is eons old and is a vital and noble activity. Even Aristotle agreed. He viewed ethics and politics as being intrinsically linked, and though that moral education was the main purpose of the political community, the founding fathers themselves were many amazing things, including politicians, and this profession integrated thousands of immigrants and dreamer Sikhs into very fabric of American society. So politics and politicians are rarely regarded in a positive light by people across the country. This is not limited to US. The sheen of this career is waning. People believe that governments are unresponsive to their problems, and many more think politicians only cater to giant corporations and the like. Youth across America state they think they have no political power whatsoever and cannot influence politicians' decisions. It was perhaps for this reason that this day was founded and established by Bob Matthews from Rochester, New York. Although this day remains unofficial, the celebrations and sentiment behind this event remain. Today is also commemorated as Women in Blue Jeans Day in US to celebrate it, showing our appreciation to all the American women who work hard on the farm to ensure the best agriculture produce gets to our tables. So, Women in Blue Jeans Day is a day set aside to celebrate and recognize the contribution of rural women to food production in America. Jeans are pants or trousers of denim or Jungari fabric prior to becoming a popular fashion. Jeans were worn by farmers and laborers in rural America as workwear of choice due to their sturdiness and durability. By the 1960s, jeans had become a part of pop culture and gained notoriety as a symbol of rebellious youth and counterculture. They were banned in some high schools, but that only helped improve their popularity. By the end of 1970s, jeans had become an item of clothing that could be found in everyone's wardrobe. Despite being around for many years, jeans are still seen as fashion today. They now come in different styles, colors, and prices. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you everyone for joining us. We request everyone to quickly fill the feedback form before leaving the platform. So see you all tomorrow at the same time. Take care. Good night.